name is Angel Goss. I'm really excited that you're here. One of the reasons that we wanted to do this is because we know that a lot of you have a lot of stuff going on in school with COVID and all that sort of thing. We want to make sure that you have an opportunity to maybe take a break. And in just a bit, we'll talk a bit more about what it means to take a break in different ways that you can do that. So we'll start that. I think, are we ready to start that now? Okay. So Davida, if you don't mind, I thought I turned off the waiting room. I don't know if you want to make sure that you have it off too. I did have a few more kids that were there. I just let them in.
I didn't actually even have it on.
Okay, so. That's great. Thank you. All right. So what we're going to start with is 7 types of rest. So there are 7 types of rest. So you have them here on the screen: physical, mental, social, creative, emotional, spiritual, and sensory. Oh, I see I have a typo. That should say SENSORY. So my apologies for that. So I'm just going to quickly go through what those types of rest are. Physical rest may mean that you literally are exhausted and need to physically rest. Close your eyes, be still, not move, literally take a physical break. That might mean closing your eyes if you're on Zoom. That might mean, you know, doing some things like a shoulder roll or stretching.
Angel, you're not sharing your screen.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for telling me that, Nathaniel and Lola, because I was looking at a different screen. Nice that you're paying attention, yes.
All right, thank you very much. There we go.
Perfect.
All right, so these are the different types of rest again: physical, mental, social. I know you can read it, so I won't read them to you. Physical rest could mean that you are taking a break, closing your eyes, resting. It may mean that you're doing a shoulder roll or stretching. There's lots of ways to take physical rest. Mental rest may mean that your brain is just exhausted from overload, things that you have to do, things that you have to think about, things that you have to do next, things that you forgot to do. So sometimes a mental rest could be just taking a break from all of that. It might mean emptying your brain and writing that all down on a piece of paper, so those things aren't just floating in your head, always reminding you of what's next. Another type of rest is social rest. Sometimes it's great to be with a lot of people, and maybe that energizes you. If you're an introvert, that may overwhelm you. So sometimes social rest means just either finding friends, that a couple that you can hang out with that help you relax. Maybe it means taking a break from your friends and just being by yourself. So there's different types of social rest. Creative rest means, and that's what we're going to talk a lot about today, is ways to use the other side of your brain, ways to draw, ways to paint, ways to be outside, ways to maybe use your hands as you're building something, or gardening is happening. So those are different types of creative rest. Emotional rest can mean that you are overwhelmed with lots of things. Maybe there's a lot of sadness that's happening right now. People are feeling lonely and isolated. Sometimes that emotional rest is finding something else to do that helps to support those emotions. So maybe you're finding a television show that makes you laugh. Maybe you're with a friend who can really hear you and allows you to share what's going on with you. So that emotional rest can just be a break from all the things that feel really heavy and weigh on your mind or your heart or you in any way. Spiritual rest is a way also to take a break. For those of you who maybe have a faith of some type, maybe it means praying. Maybe it means going to some place that's sacred. Maybe it means being outside and enjoying nature, enjoying the quiet, looking at the sky or the ocean or the bumblebees that are starting to wake up, or ladybugs. Maybe it means, you know, being in the ground and connecting to earth in some way. So there's all sorts of ways for spiritual rest. And then the last one is sensory rest. And sensory rest is a way for you just to stop and, again, just to bring in things that help to relieve you. In our earlier workshop, we had someone who lights candles, and the smell of candles can be very relaxing. Maybe it's doing something with clay, and so you're you know, manipulating clay, or maybe you are again outside in the garden feeling the dirt. So sensory rest is, I think, one of the most important, because it allows you to connect exactly with what you're doing. And so you're painting, you're writing, you're gardening, you're building, but there's a hand connection with what you're doing that just focuses you in on what you're doing. So those are just a couple of different types of rest. I went through those very quickly, but there is a link here. So if you want to read more about those different types of rest, you're welcome to do that. Davida, do you want to share anything before we move on?
I would only like to say that I agree that rest is so important, and depending on the time of day or where you are or what's going on, being able to tap into any one of these works. You can't always have physical rest or do something physical when you're in school, but you can certainly do something sensory or play with something, or, you know, have a fidget ball or something that doesn't disrupt, but gives you a chance to relax your mind and still listen so that you can get back to the work. So I know when I was in elementary and middle school, and I know even Angel today loves to practice finding different ways to write things, to make them creative and fun, and something to take your mind off and relax. I've seen some of her calendar work and some of her scrapbooking, and she does some really awesome work. It's not something that I've done a lot of, but I've started to do more of since I've known her. And here's 4 examples of what, oh, I'm hearing an echo. Here's 4 examples of different ways other artists have decided they could turn their basic alphabet that they learned in elementary school, where you had to write it just the way the teacher wanted it, or you'd had to practice making an A or a B, is to take those letters and to turn them into something visual and exciting and pleasant, and also representing a personality. And so if you look at those 4, some are a little more involved than the others, but the bottom left one is pretty simple. You make a bubble letter, which I know many people tend to do, and just color them in. That's a simple way to do it. Or to take the upper left and just put hatch marks or sketches or little doodles in the letter. The bottom right, I don't know what you all think of that, but that bottom right where they have the animals and nature shaped like an alphabet is, to me, so beautiful. And if I was an artistic person, I think that's what I'd be doing while I was relaxing, is to try to turn my alphabet or my initials into something as beautiful as that. So those are 4 examples to think about of what. If you want to go down to the next slide, Angel. So here's examples of ours. And if Angel wants to go first and talk about her 2 ideas for.
Sure. So so I've written my name in 2 different ways. And the first one, you see, I wrote my name and then I added some sort of shadowing to make the letters a little thicker. On the first one, I added some triangles into the letter. The next one has hearts. The G has diamonds. The 2 E's have stars, and the L has swirls. So just another way to write my name, to enhance it a bit. This could be something I'm doing while I'm doing other things. And then the second one is I wrote my name all in capital letters, and then across the middle of my name, I wrote my name in cursive. And so you could write your name again in small letters. I know everyone doesn't use cursive anymore, so you might write 2 words connected together. So that's just another way to show your name.
And then I will talk about the last 2. Just make sure you're on mute. If there's noise in the background, it'd be helpful. I'm having, sometimes I get a little distracted.
Sure.
The upper right, it's funny, after we were planning this activity, I was listening to a presentation, and of course, I was relaxing while I was listening, and I started doodling and drew a tree. But then what I decided to do was to take the 3 letters of my initials, D, J, and B, and I turned them into an animal in a tree, with the J being the tail and the B being part of a snake that was going to climb the tree. I don't know where I got that, but it just kind of was free thinking. So that was one example of me doodling and sketching while I was relaxing, but also listening to the presentation. And then this bottom one is not something I did. I happened to be fortunate enough to have someone who went to China, and when they came home, this was a gift for me. And it's my name, and you can see that the letters of the alphabet are very recognizable, but what the Chinese artist did was to just sketch in pretty typical Chinese or Asian art over it to make it beautiful, but then to also incorporate the letters of the alphabet. So the D with the dragon and the I with the butterfly and the flowers really represents Asian culture, but also my name. So here's those are just some examples for you all to think about. we're going to talk briefly about how you can use noting and note sketching and drawing to be a good student. So Angel, do you want to show the video real quick?
Sure.
Okay, this is a short 3-minute video.
Can everyone see my screen? Yes? Great.
Yep.
All right, here we go.
So if everybody would listen, it'd be great.
All right. Go ahead.
All right, so we're going to practice. So if everybody get their pencil and a piece of paper or a pen and a piece of paper out, we're going to take this idea of drawing and relaxing, but listening at the same time by connecting words and pictures, and do a little note taking. And since all of you are in middle school, I know from my experiences in middle school as a teacher, anywhere between elementary and middle, there were lessons in science class about plants and animals. And so before we start, here's a quick review. These are the only shapes you need to know. Everybody look at them on the left. I think everybody can do all of those. You can turn those simple shapes into pictures that mean something to you. And this person did it this way, but my cup may not look like that cup. All right, so let's give it a go. Here we go. I'm going to do a little lesson. And while you're listening on your piece of paper, head it photosynthesis. And then we're going to put up a text, and I'm going to talk while you're reading and listening and trying to write down what you think is important. We all know that the world is made up of both plants and animals. Plants make their own food, and it's called photosynthesis. In the world, there are also animals, and we are one of the many animals that roam this earth. And as we know, animals can't make their own food except in the kitchen. They have to consume food. That's why we are called consumers. We have to eat food made by plants. We have to pick it, harvest it. Of course, now we have to go to the grocery store and get it. Chickens lay eggs for us, but we don't make food. Plants make food, and they're called producers. So producers make their own food, and consumers have to get food from other sources. So take another 15 seconds. Don't expect you to get everything I said. There was a lot there, but want to see if you get at least 1 or 2 ideas that you could write down in text and then draw a doodle or a picture to help you think of that. And the people with their cameras on, I see they're busy working, so we'll wait another 15 seconds or so, Angel, maybe 20 seconds.
Sure.
Okay. All right, I can see Karina's busy working. Looks like everybody else is pretty much waiting. So why don't we, here's my example of how I would have note sketched. This is by no means what you should have done. It's just an example of what you might have done. So for me, I wrote the word plants, made it a tree, so I could remember that trees and plants, we're talking about that world. I used the word producers because that is a science term. So I made a box around it. But then I drew pictures of produce, which you buy in the grocery store. And they come from plants. And now I can remember that plants make produce and they are producers. So I also made a connection to a word I knew. And then I sketched down there that we're humans, have to eat. So I made a circle with a box and some squiggly lines and rectangles and showed a big old mouth that we have to eat our food while plants make their food. So that's my simple example. If anybody wants to stick theirs into the screen real fast before we move on, Angel's going to take over. I think we'll, oh, nice. I love it. You made photo big, like I had colored because it means light. Nice. Excellent. All right. Don't see any other sharers. So shall we move on, Angel?
Yes, it's 1:30. It's 1:35. So do you want to do the sharing, or what would you like to do?
Well, I just want to say before I finish, and then I guess what we can do is maybe see what the kids have to say is between, I'll speak for my piece and then Angel can speak for hers, that I hope as a teacher, I've instilled in you some ways that you can use relaxation and mindfulness to be a better student while you're sitting in class going, oh, these notes are driving me crazy. I'm going to make them something that will help me and also relax and have fun while I'm learning. And we do have that poll about would they ever use it. So why don't we throw that up real fast and see what you all think. And then I'll let Michelle take over for the rest of the summary. So go to the poll. And the last poll says, well, actually, it's the first one now. Would you try note sketching? Oh, 42 people. You people are right on. I'm loving it. Would you try it? You would only do it at home. And we put that thinking that maybe your teacher sees you drawing, you might be a little uncomfortable. So you could do it at home. The third one should say, I would do it in class. You don't have to only do it in class, but would you note sketch in class? And no, that ain't for me. Oh, nice, Angel. More than half said they would like to try it.
That's great.
About, I don't know, 15% said they would not, and that's okay. Not everybody's a visual learner. But if you're a visual learner or you need memory tricks, these are great for people whose memory or short-term learning and memory, sometimes things just don't stick with them. Pictures are 1,000 words. So excellent. Thank you so much. More than half said they'll try it. I hope you will, and good luck with it.
Yeah, so I think we just have like 2 more minutes. So we thank you for being in this. I hope, as Davida said, that you found something that helps you rest from, sort of the times that we're in, either finding times with friends or alone, finding ways to connect, finding ways for physical rest and mental rest. Both of those are really important, that even you think about what kind of rest you need and then find the appropriate one, that when you're in class, hopefully this note sketching or even just doodling will be a helpful way for you to take a mental break, and a way for you to connect with the things that you're learning. So thank you so much for this time today.